Hey Bliss family, it's your girl Bella. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm starting a brand new series. I discovered a love for nonfiction, specifically self-help books last year. And because of this, I decided to start this new series where I read a self-help book and I go ahead and do a deep dive and break down different elements of the book. That way you don't have to read it. My main goal is that by watching this video, you will actually be enticed enough to read the book yourself. But if you don't feel enticed enough to read it, but you still want to know what the book is about in detail, I'm also hoping that you can get that from this video. So the very first book that I want to talk about is Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you watched my 10 best videos of 2022, I believe that's what it was called, I'll link it down below and in the cards for you to watch after this video. If you've watched this video, then you know that this was actually my number 5 best book of 2022. And considering the fact that I'm actually a fiction reader primarily, the fact that a nonfiction self-help book snagged the number 5 spot was a really big deal to me. I feel like I talk about this book all the time, so I'm pretty excited to have it be the first one in this series. So if you're someone who is looking to form new habits or break old habits that aren't good, this is going to be the perfect book for you. This book is all about habit formation and how we are pretty much an accumulation of all of our habits that we go through every single day. And before I dive into the things I learned in this book, there's a really cool resource that is available on James's website, and it's called the Habit Scorecard Template, which I know you probably can't see it that well because of the lighting, but pretty much what it is you have like this sheet which is like divided into two, and on the left side you have your daily habits, and on the right side there's a positive, negative, or neutral. And so what you would pretty much do is write down all of your habits that you have every single day, whether they're habits that you like, don't like, you just write them all down. And then you put a plus sign next to the good habits, a minus sign next to the bad habits, and an equal sign next to neutral habits. And there's more detail about these habits if you actually read the scorecard template. And I just thought this was like really cool because it forces you to think about what you do every single day. Like there are so many things we do each day. Like for example, I wake up, as soon as I wake up, I'm not gonna lie to you, I go on my phone first. I go on my phone and I check my YouTube analytics and my social media analytics and to see if like how my videos and how my content's doing. And then I go ahead, I brush my teeth, I go to the gym, I take a shower, dress my bed, I read my Bible and pray. Like those are my first habits that I do when I first wake up, if I'm just being completely transparent with you. So I think this scorecard is really cool because you can kind of track your own habits and see like, okay, like let's say you're someone who you want to drink less coffee and every single day at 7 a.m. you drink coffee. You can start to notice like, okay, at 7 a.m. I drink coffee and then I drink it again at 10 a.m. and then I get an espresso shot at 3 p.m. Like you can start to see like how much you're drinking it. And I think sometimes writing things out helps us to really visualize it, you know? Okay, now let's go ahead and deep dive into this book. So when it comes to forming new habits, the first and most important thing is to make it attractive. And you have to ask yourself, how can I make this habit irresistible? How can I make it so that it's not just me forcing myself to do a new habit, but I actually want to do a new habit? One way to do this is a method called temptation bundling. And this pretty much means that you only allow yourself to do things that you want to do if you're doing something that you have to do. For example, if I know I need to fold my laundry or clean my bathroom or do some type of like work around the house, but I want to like watch a YouTube video, I'll only allow myself to watch that YouTube video if I'm also doing my laundry, cleaning my bathroom, whatever. So while I'm doing laundry, while I'm cleaning the bathroom, I have a video playing, and it's like I'm doing something I enjoy, which is watching a video, but I'm doing what I need to do, which is laundry, cleaning the bathroom. And that way you can associate doing laundry or cleaning the bathroom with a positive thing that you enjoy doing, such as watching YouTube videos, you know what I mean? That's what temptation bundling is. It's doing what you have to do and morphing it with what you want to do so that you feel more motivated to do tasks that you need to get done. And this can also be combined with habit stacking, which habit stacking is just pretty much like forming habits on top of one another. So for example, if you know that if you want to start doing your daily affirmations but you love coffee, you can tell yourself like, okay, before I drink my coffee, something that I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and say my affirmations, which is something that you need to do. Or if you want to maybe work out a little bit more, but you want to check your phone, you could say, after I check social media, I have to do 10 burpees, a need. Or vice versa. After I do 10 burpees, a need, I can check social media, a want. So it's pretty much just like putting those habits together, both good and not, like drinking coffee and being on social media isn't necessarily bad. It's kind of neutral, you know? So it's kind of combining the things that you want to do with what you need to do. That way you can get your goals accomplished, but still enjoy yourself and not feel like it's such a burden to do. The next thing that's very important when you're trying to form a new habit is to make it easy. One way you can do that is by getting out of the habit of saying, I need to do this. I need to do that. But instead of making it like a reward, like I get to do this. Instead of saying like, ugh, I need to wake up at 5 a.m. so I can get into the office by 8. You can say, wow, I get to wake up at 5 a.m. I get to go to the gym. And that way I get to go to my job right after, my job that's paying my bills, keeping a roof over my head. And you just kind of change your mindset from saying like, oh, I need to do this to I get to. Because when you tell yourself you need to do something, you're not going to want to do it. Like I can speak for myself personally. Like I have to do this all the time. I'm still training my mind to be more like this. Because if I tell myself I need to do something, me just being rebellious would be like, no. I'm not gonna do that. But if I change my mindset and I say, I get to do this, I get to work out and make my body feel good, I get to eat healthy and give myself a nutritious diet, like I get to do these things, like it creates a feeling of gratitude for one, and it makes it easier to do because it doesn't feel like you're forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do, if that makes sense. Instead of saying I have to go on a run, you can tell yourself I get to increase my endurance. Instead of saying I have to save money this month, you can say I get to increase my purchasing power next month. There's always a trade-off in everything that we do. There's also some talk in this book about motion versus action, which are two important things when you're forming a habit. So, for example, I'm someone who I create content online, right? So for me, the motion could be mapping out the videos, getting what I need for the videos, and knowing what I want to talk about, what I want to do. And the action is actually filming the video, editing it, uploading it. So when you combine motion and action, it kind of gives you more like a blueprint of how you want things to turn out. And that's just my own personal example with social media because I am a content creator. The next thing is one of my favorite things that James touches on in this book, which is the 2-minute rule. Sometimes when we decide to start a new habit or form a new habit, we can get like really excited, and instead of starting small, we start really big, and that can cause us to be burnt out. So an example that he gave was telling himself like, okay, I'm gonna do things for 2 minutes. So for example, if you tell yourself every single morning, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to read for 2 minutes. You're going to get to the point where you're like, okay, I've read for 2 minutes. I'd rather read for 10, for 15, for 20. But if you tell yourself that you're just going to do 2 minutes of reading, it's a very low goal. Like it's not like putting too much on yourself, and you're going to end up achieving that goal plus a little bit more because you end up reading for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Versus if you tell yourself every single morning, I'm going to read for 30 minutes, and you're not even someone who's inclined to read, like you're not someone who's an active reader, you're trying to build that habit. If you tell yourself you're going to read for 30 minutes or an hour, it's easy to get distracted by other things, have other things come up. But if you just say 2 minutes, you're going to achieve that goal, and you're going to do a little bit more than what you even decided to do. So I think that's really important when you want to form any new habit, whether it's working out, reading, writing, meditation. Like it's important to be realistic with yourself because it is a new habit. And if you try to go all the way in right away, you can really burn yourself out, get overwhelmed, and then just give up the habit altogether. Going along with that 2-minute rule, one of the main focuses is just that you don't want this habit to feel like a chore. If you make something feel like a chore, you're not going to want to do it naturally. So keep things short, keep things straight to the point. Don't overdo it. At the end of the day, if you read for 2 minutes every single day and the year before you didn't read at all, you're still doing better than you previously were. And we're only in competition with ourselves, you know? Create a time limit that works for you, that isn't overbearing, that won't feel like a chore, and that you know you can accomplish every single day or as often as you want to do it. Another thing to remember is that habits that don't elicit immediate gratification tend to not feel as good in the moment, you know? So working out might not feel great in the moment. Saving money might not feel great in the moment. Versus actions such as, you know, smoking, having casual intercourse, shopping all the time. They give you that immediate gratification. What we have to remember is that when you're forming habits, it's more of a long-term gain. And so when you're doing these things that you don't want to do, such as working out or saving money, you're creating a much better future for yourself because you'll have more money in the future. And also, when you work out and you start doing it now, you'll be much healthier. It can improve your mood, and it can just help you to live longer. So that's another thing to remember, is that these habits that sometimes we kind of need don't feel so good in the moment. But when you look back 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, you'll see how implementing that habit every single day made a big difference. And there's always a trade-off. There's a trade-off between saving your money and spending your money. There's a trade-off between working out and never being active, you know? So we kind of have to think about the big picture and where you want to see yourself in a few months or a few years from now. Because honestly, the more immediate pleasure you get from an experience or a thing, you should honestly question, Because in life, a lot of things are just delayed. Like, nothing comes easy. You know the saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But if you're doing something that gives you immediate gratification, such as, doing drugs, getting drunk all the time, having a lot of casual sex, it can feel great in the moment, but down the line, it may not feel as good. And I think that these things are important to talk about, and a lot of people don't talk about how things that feel good in the moment don't always feel good down the line. And sometimes in life, we just have to make a sacrifice. One way you can make this easier for yourself also is to reward yourself when you are doing things that you wouldn't normally do. So let's say, for example, you are saving to buy a car and you've decided like, okay, I'm not going to buy any clothes this year because I want to save to buy a car. And let's say you know that on average you spend, I don't know, $300 a month on clothes. So each time you don't spend that money on clothes, go ahead and put that clothes money into a jar. And that way you can see the way the money is accumulating towards the goal that you actually have. And then reward yourself when you do these things, If you enjoy watching TV, like reward yourself each week that you don't buy clothes. Reward yourself with something that still aligns with your goals. So like, don't say I'm not gonna spend money on clothes and then go spend $300 on shoes. You know what I mean? Make sure the reward aligns with your long-term goal, but make sure that it's also something that makes you feel happy and makes you feel accomplished. And I think for this example specifically, coupling having the like jar that you can actually see your money growing in, that's going towards your goal, and rewarding yourself will make you feel better when you're trying to hit that goal. Because I know for myself personally, when I was saving to have a down payment for my car, when I was seeing my bank account grow, it just made me fall in love with saving personally. Like, prior to, I was not a good saver. I didn't really like saving. I liked to shop a lot. I'm dang near talking about myself here. But once I started seeing the money like accumulate and accumulate and accumulate, it made me feel so good. And it made me want to not spend money on things that were more frivolous, because I was like, Isabella, do you want to buy this new jacket, or do you want your bank account to say that you've saved $5,000 specifically for a down payment on a car? Like, you know what I mean? So I think that coupling those together can really make a big difference. Another major point is to track your habits. So you can do this in so many ways. One example that he had is like, for example, let's say you want to drink water as soon as you wake up. You can have 2 jars and you can maybe put like bobby pins or beads or something in the jar, and then the other jar can be empty. And every single morning that you wake up and drink water right away, you can take a bead or a bobby pin and place it in the other jar, and do that every single morning. Because sometimes that small little action of just moving something towards like a checklist can make you feel really good. Like, it's a very small reward, but it can make you feel really good. It's the same as like if you have a checklist and you get to check off a box or fill in the little bubble that you did something, like you feel good, you know what I mean? So it's important to reward yourself even for those small habits, because they're honestly what makes the biggest difference. All those small habits accumulate who we are, so they're very important to focus on and reward yourself for when you accomplish them. And one of the last things in this category specifically is to never miss twice. So life happens. Sometimes we do end up messing up. We do end up, saying that we want to go to the gym 5 days straight, get Saturday, Sunday off, and we miss Wednesday. It's okay to miss a day. You know what I mean? We have to have grace with ourselves as humans. But one thing that we can't do is miss twice. And I've gotten this advice from actually multiple resources. And it's so true, because once you miss twice, you start forming a habit of not doing something. If you miss once, life happens. But by missing something more than once in a row, you're forming that new habit of not going to the gym, of not taking your vitamins daily, of not drinking water every day, you know what I mean? So it's important to never miss twice in a row. Okay, and the last portion is just focusing on genes and genetics. So there's something in each of us that we perform at the top 25%. And sometimes we have to take the time to really analyze what that something is. Maybe that something is that you're good at basketball. Maybe it's that you're good at teaching. Maybe it's that you're good at nurturing. You're good at explaining things. Like, all of us have at least one thing that we can perform better than 75% of people. So it's really important to hone in on that unique skill that you have and build something out of it. Like, I know for me, I'm very creative and I'm very organized with my creativity. So I use that skill when I'm creating content, when I'm decorating, when I'm organizing around my house. I hone in on that in all areas, because I know it's something that I do very well that some people are not able to do well. And if you're able to really hone in on what you're good at and just work hard on what comes easy to you, you can get a lot of great benefits out of it as well. well. Instead of working hard on a bunch of different things, focus on the one area or maybe the two areas that you're really, really good at and become an expert in those fields, you know? If you want to differentiate yourself and be different, hone in on what you're good at and do it over and over and over and over again. You'll get so much more progress and so much better results from doing one thing that you're good at versus spreading yourself thin. Because of course you can be good at many things. You can be 50% good at this, 50% good at that, at this and at that. But if you're 100% good at one thing and you really just drill into that, like imagine how much of a difference you can make. In order to challenge yourself, you can work on challenges that are just like a teeny bit beyond what you're used to. That way you're still, you know, challenging yourself, but you're still doing something that's within your perimeter of ability. And a piece of advice that James actually got from, I believe it was a basketball coach, when he was asking about different athletes and what made so-and-so better than so-and-so. He always said that what made one player better than another is that the player that was the best one was able to keep going even when they didn't want to. And it's the same way with our habits. Like, we have to keep going even when we no longer want to do it. When you no longer want to wake up at 5 a.m., when you no longer want to work out, when you no longer want to do whatever it is that you're trying to form a habit of. You have to keep going, because that time when it gets the most difficult is when most people drop. That's when most people drop and they give up the habit. So imagine a few people that continue to do it. Those are people that end up being like the very best at whatever it is that they're trying to do. And that's the piece of advice that he got from somebody about the best basketball players that they had ever coached, is that those people who, yes, they may have had something genetically that made them better, whether it was, you know, speed or height or whatever, but they put in that work when no one else wanted to. So I think that's a little gem that I want to leave you all with, and also remind myself of. Alright y'all, so my battery's actually about to die, so let me go ahead and wrap this video up. So this is a full breakdown of Atomic Habits by James Clear. I hope you all enjoyed this video. This is the first video in the series where I'll be reading a book and explaining it so that you don't have to. I love the points that are mentioned in this book, and I tried to sort of like self-insert to give y'all some of my own real life examples. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments down below, and definitely share this with anyone you know who is looking to form some new great habits. If you have any advice for me on this series and what you want to see, which self-development nonfiction books you want me to break down, or things you want me to include or add, let me know. I'm sorry I'm talking so fast. I don't want my camera to die on me, but I love you all so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.